Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. If this is your first time being here, I'm very excited for you to be here, especially for this episode today. It's a bit of a special episode just because I'm celebrating 50 episodes. I am just so excited that I've been able to stick to this for so long because when I first began my podcasting journey, I was convinced that I was an inconsistent person. And so it's really been able to show me that I'm actually not an inconsistent person. And it's just been such a beautiful, almost year of growth and understanding more parts of self. And the girl I was when I first started this podcast versus now, obviously we go through evolution, but it's just really cool to know that I have grown so much, but I still fucking just started where I was and just allowed myself to be a beginner in that. So that is super cool. In terms of celebration, we are going to be running, well, I am running over in the Facebook community group a countdown to Christmas. I thought, what a cool way to just be in community, do this together, come together at this time of year when a lot of people, this can be a really hard time of year for some people. It can be a stressful and overwhelming time of year. And I just want it to be grounded, take time for you each day, do it in community, connect with other like-minded women. So over in my Facebook community group, Sacred Community with Tanika, each day I'm going to be posting a short video in the countdown to Christmas. So if you're listening to this a little bit late, because it will be starting tomorrow once this is live, please just know you can still go and join. It's always linked below in all my podcast episodes. And, start wherever you join, even if it's halfway through 2024 right now and you're listening, this is still going to be perfect because you can still go back, use those short videos in the Facebook group and apply them to just your life anyway, because they're going to be really cool, connecting you to yourself, to your values, to your menstrual cycle, grounding your energy, aligning your energy. It's just really all about just staying connected, which is super cool. So the reason that I wanted to talk about what I'm going to be talking about today on this podcast episode is because a massive, every time people message me about the podcast, they always say, I swear every single person says thank you so much for being a permission slip for me to slow down, or thank you for allowing me to feel okay, that it's okay to rest, or whatever it is. It's always around that kind of theme. And I thought, how can I bring this in my celebration episode? So we're going to be talking about just allowing yourself to slow down, but doing it in a productive way, or a proactive way, I should say, so that you can actually get more done. So it's not about using it as an excuse. It's actually about getting yourself into a state so that you can enter that flow state easier with work, with study, whatever it is, by incorporating rest regularly. And the quote that we're going to be starting with today is, and I know I was doing oracle cards, we're just going to do a dance between the two, honestly, because I'm just feeling quotes again. So even the smallest shift in perspective can bring about the greatest healing. And when I saw this, I was like, this relates so beautifully to what I'm speaking about right now, because shifting your perspective from someone who might believe that rest is for lazy people, or rest is, you don't have time for it, or rest is unmotivating, or you don't deserve rest, or whatever your story is about that, shifting your perspective that little bit through this conversation today, where I open up your mind to understanding that you actually can have a different perspective on it, just because maybe people around you believe that sleep is for the weak, or whatever it might be, and that can bring healing in itself, because you're then healing your relationship to yourself and your menstrual cycle even more, which is super, super cool. So I want to ask you, what is your belief around slowing down or rest? So when you think of it, are you instantly thinking, well, I don't have time for that? Just inquiring with yourself, just noticing the first things that come up for you. And it's all perfect, because you've got to remember, we've been conditioned to believe that, we've got to be in this hustle culture. And although there's definitely space for being on the grind and hustling and building your dreams and all of that, there's so space for that. I also just see that it is so crucial for women to understand that we aren't on that circadian rhythm, and we do need to actually have an understanding of our cycle so that we don't get burnt out all the time. We don't get sick all the time. We don't, develop chronic disease. I think it's just a really important thing. So yeah, just really inquiring with yourself with what your belief is around slowing down. And I'm just going to share a little bit about my story. So in one of my first podcast episodes, from Disconnected to Divinely Guided, I did speak about how I used to have a fear of slowing down. I actually I would have like panic attacks from being in a relaxed state, which sounds super weird, I know, but it was purely from the space of like being in fight or flight practically my entire childhood, that like becoming an adult, slowing down and resting and relaxing felt way more unsafe than just like constantly going, constantly finding something else to fill the void, constantly finding something else to distract me, right? So I used to fear it, and I used to have project onto it like it's only like you only slow down if you're fucking lazy. You only slow down if you're an unmotivated person, and you're not going to get anywhere in life if you slow down. And that is such a morphed perception of slowing down. But I also understand a lot of people still have that belief system. And I also want to add that that guilt of slowing down can still arise for me occasionally. I've definitely transcended a lot of it, but sometimes I can recognize that little part of myself trying to come in and just be like, what are you fucking doing resting on day one of your bleed? But you've just got to like kind of work with that. So that's also something like that I've learned along my journey. But basically, breath work was a huge part, as I've spoken into, of like me rebalancing, reprogramming my nervous system to actually be safe in slowing down. And that in itself also like changed my perception around it and allowed me to heal my relationship with my feminine energy, because of course feminine energy is like the surrender, the slow, right? And I used to just think like people in their feminine were just, I just had like morphed beliefs around it. And obviously I have different beliefs now because I'm very much, dancing between the two, the feminine and the masculine now, but that's because I've like created this relationship. But yeah, so my like journey with it was very much like I feared it. I actually like looked down on it. I thought people who rested were just lazy and you're not going to get anywhere in life and whatever, like name your thing. That was actually what I like truly believed to my core. And it's cool to see now, like years later, where I actually ensure that rest is a part of my daily routine. Rest is always weaved in, not just like at night. Obviously, we need to sleep at night, but also throughout the day so that I can proactively do better in my studies. I can do better in my like productivity with work, and I can feel good. I feel like I haven't been burnt out in like the longest time, yet I'm studying full time, getting good grades. I'm running my own business. I'm holding together, that sounds like it's barely holding together, but like I'm in a really healthy relationship with my partner. I've got beautiful like relationships around me. It's just, I truly believe that like one of the biggest things that like feeds into this is because of the relationship I have with rest, and not allowing it to be an overexpression, not like falling into the like I can't do it because I'm on my bleed, like I'm so tired, like blah, but whatever. Like I honor my body, but I also don't use it as an excuse. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Also, side note, I hope you guys can hear all the birds behind me. Where I live, we have like lots and lots of beautiful, just like different like native birds that live around because I'm on like a property and stuff, but they're extra loud this morning while I'm recording, and I decided to record outside. So that's really, I just hope you can hear them because they just sound so beautiful, the bird song. So the first thing I want to bring into this conversation as well around rest is understanding your inner seasons is actually going to be so pivotal for you, because in that you're going to be able to see where your body is, understand that your hormone levels might be a little bit lower at certain times, or they definitely are at certain times of your cycle, so you can understand that you need to be weaving in a little bit more rest in those times. And I think another thing with my journey was understanding my inner seasons was almost like this permission slip that, oh my gosh, women are built different. Like we actually are built different. And it's okay that I need that little bit more rest, that little bit more surrender through my luteal phase and through my bleed time. Prior to that, when I didn't understand that we were on a different, rhythm, when I didn't understand any of that, it was very much like, well, my male co-workers can go constantly. Why am I feeling exhausted today? And it was like that comparison thing of like, I'm not good enough. Whereas understanding my inner seasons allowed me to see that like as a woman, we aren't supposed to be like on that hustle like literally every single day of our cycle. And when we can begin to understand that, you can actually get even more fucking done in the phases where like your hustle mode is on, because you're honoring yourself when you're in like the not so hustle mode. So understanding your inner seasons can be really powerful, because like I just said, you're understanding where your hormone levels are, understanding it's okay that your body might need a little bit extra sleep throughout those weeks at night, incorporating the different things I'm going to go through in this episode so that you can actually feel like okay about incorporating it. So that is definitely one thing, because yeah, like I just said, during our luteal phase and our bleed time, so where you would usually, if you're someone who has PMS, not normalizing PMS, just saying it is common, if you are someone who receives PMS, around those times is when you should be bringing in some more rest, and definitely try that your next cycle, bringing in more of the things I'm going to be covering in this episode. And during your bleed time, I always just love to say, like, the first day or two of your bleed, try not to exercise, just allow it to be like your time. And although you might be someone who feels like, oh, I'm fine to like move on my bleed, I just think it's really, and this is my belief, but like when you look at how our body is actually working, our hormone levels, our energy levels, all of that, I just think it's really important for women to just take those first 2 days of their bleed to just like go on a gentle walk or do a yoga flow, not be like lifting weights or anything, because it's just raising your stress levels, like your oh my gosh, your hormonal, like stress hormones. That's what I'm trying to get to. It's just raising your stress hormones within your body. And it's probably like could be one of the reasons where you are experiencing PMS or you are experiencing mood swings and things like that. It can all be related. So really allowing this to be your permission slip on like the first 2 days of your bleed, to just take it really slow, with like high intensity and things like that. So rest can be productive, and that's something that I want to really allow you to understand, is rest can actually be a very productive and proactive thing that you incorporate into your daily life. Because when we are actually well rested, we're not on that verge of feeling like a crazy bitch. We're not feeling overwhelmed. We're not feeling overstimulated. We are rested enough. Our nervous system is balanced enough to actually be able to take on the tasks and to raise your capacity for like what you can hold, so that you've got like expand your capacity, sorry, so that you can hold more in your life and you don't have to stay like stuck. So that is like one really cool thing. And a way that rest can be productive is very much like going for a walk in nature. No phone, no stimulation, just listening to the bird song, listening to the leaves rustling in the trees, and being connected to the earth, because nature literally holds so much healing for us. And when we connect to nature, we actually heal ourselves. So taking those walks, through nature, in with fresh air, all the things like that, is so, so powerful in incorporating rest. So it could just be a 20-minute walk a day, and that's actually you incorporating rest. So you're actually being productive at the same time, right? You're doing something at the same time. But I really want to like make a note of how important it is to not be using your phone, because when we're on our phone, we're just overstimulating ourselves and it's just way too much. So definitely ensuring that. And like the next point that I actually had was like an intentional digital detox. So of course, this is not like fathomable for someone, especially like me, right? Like I work, and like social media is a big part of my work. I'm on my computer for study. I'm on my computer for work. It just is like, I can't really get off like the digital stuff. It just doesn't work for me. And that's a lot of the time for everyone, because like most jobs and things are like on digital things. So it's more about the intentionality. And so bringing in that, setting that intention, of not wanting to go on your phone all throughout the day for social media, and just taking like some time of the evening, or taking some time of like the middle of the day, like picking a time of day where you can actually do that scroll if that's something that you want to do, but being intentional with like the rest of the hours in your day, so that you're not just sitting there on TikTok for 4 hours and then going into a shame spiral that you've just been on TikTok for 4 hours. And now you're tired, and now you're sick, and now you're burnt out, and now your period sucks, and that loop. Like breaking that cycle can start with just being intentional with your time on your phone and on your computer and watching TV. And this, we like literally are addicted to our digital things, devices. Oh my gosh, I'm really doing great in this episode with my words, aren't I? With devices, like we actually get like a fake sense of like a high off of it. Like we get feel good from looking at our phones, looking at our computers. So I want to remind you of that. And like it's actually a journey to coming off, like detoxing. So you might just want to do an entire weekend of like absolutely nothing when you've got a weekend that you don't have work, so that you can wean yourself back on intentionally. However your approach to things usually is really beautiful, but just really bringing that in there and just allowing yourself to see that you're probably spending so much time on your phone, and then like saying that you don't have time to rest, when really if you just like took back even half an hour of your time from your screen and put that into your life, it's going to create so much change, because it's almost like you're like adding like time to your schedule that you think you don't have. Like it's almost like you're making your day, you're like channeling your energy, channeling the time in a much more productive way, and that's while incorporating rest, which is really, really cool. Another thing is I kind of mentioned like going for the walk outside and being in nature and allowing nature to cure you and to just feel your heart, ground you, all the things like that. But also yoga is really powerful because it's a mindfulness activity. You are allowing the energy to move through your body. It's relaxing, it's slowing the mind, and it's being intentional with where you're putting your energy. So 15 minutes of yoga in the middle of the day, breaking up your day with these little micro things that like feel like, oh, 15 minutes isn't going to do anything. 15 minutes is going to actually change the game for you if you are someone who isn't incorporating any kind of rest into your schedule. Incorporating that 15-minute walk, that 15-minute yoga flow. And, you know, if you are already, like I said, scrolling on your phone for ages, how about setting that screen time limit to 45 minutes instead of an hour? So that there you go, there's your 15 minutes. Like we actually do have the time. It's just about like reflecting on our routine, reflecting on what we are doing so that we can actually better it and refine it. Mindfulness, of course, is another way to incorporate rest. So mindfulness by meditation. Do a guided meditation on Insight Timer. I have so many on there. They're literally free. Like just jump on over to Insight Timer, look up what you're looking for. Mindfulness could be some art. It could be some journaling. It could be scripting, like whatever you want it to be. It's just about taking that time away from stimulants and just being in your own energy and allowing what wants to come through in that rest moment. And it's just so powerful. And, you know, I know for me, like mindfulness is something that is so important, because if I'm not doing meditation every single day, I don't feel good. So meditation can be powerful because, like I just said, if I know for me, if I don't meditate, I don't feel good. So bringing that in 2 minutes a day, start with 2 minutes a day, literally, or connecting to your breath, taking conscious breathing. These are little things that we can literally just bring in, and we can place them in throughout our day, at the beginning of our day, at the ending of our day, in the shower, whatever it is. And it's actually going to create so much change for you. Another one is the Pomodoro technique. So Pomodoro is a type of tomato, and I'm going to butcher this so much, but this is something that I have been doing, especially since starting study. When I first started study, so it's been a couple months now, I very much was like, holy shit, like sitting there and staring at a computer for ages was just like killing my brain. I was like, what the hell? Because I already work so much on my computer for work. And then it was like, holy crap. But then I found out about this Pomodoro technique. So it's 25-minute focused work sessions and then a 5-minute break. So you set your timer, you get things done for 25 minutes, like write down your list of things that you want to get done. Maybe it's like 4 different things. Set your timer for 25 minutes. And it's like you're on the race of time to like get them done. And then you take 5 minutes off to take some deep breathing, or to do your meditation, or to do some stretching, or maybe that's the 5 minutes that you want to add in some scrolling. I'm not saying to scroll every 5 minutes, but you know, maybe you want to incorporate it there. So of the afternoon, you have more time for rest. Yes, be smart with your time. But the Pomodoro technique has been really powerful for me. And I find that it's just because our attention span as humans is just so not like as great as it used to be. And I just hate staring at my computer like constantly. And I don't believe that I'm someone who has to work under pressure. I used to believe that, but I do believe that having like this 25-minute segment makes me more productive, because I'm like, okay, I want to get, or I need to get these 3 tasks done in this time. So bringing that in. So it's 25 minutes of work and then 5 minutes off. And, you know, find your happy medium here. If it's 15 minutes and then like 5 minutes off, perfect. Like find what works for you, and remembering as well that when you understand your inner seasons, you understand that there's phases that you are more productive. So you might be able to stretch that out a little longer to 45 minutes and then 15 minutes off. Just allowing yourself to like be okay that being a woman, our hormones fluctuate and it's not going to be the same every single day for us. But that's basically everything I wanted to cover in this episode about being productive with your rest, changing your mindset, shifting your perspective around rest, and actually understanding that it is okay to incorporate rest. If anything, it's actually going to get you further. You're going to be like feeling good. Burnout won't be on the agenda. And that's something that we really want to focus on, is not having burnout, because burnout can take so long to overcome from. And you just don't deserve that. You don't deserve to get sick. And when we can incorporate these things into our daily life, it's like the, you're being more, oh my gosh, I just can't think of my words. What is it? Being preventative. It's preventing things from like actually going wrong, so that you can like continue to not get burnt out, but continue to also like smash your goals. So I want to remind you, jump in the Facebook group. There's a free 24-day countdown in there. It's almost like a challenge. I don't know. It's going to be so fun over there. So that's just a short video that I'm just popping in there every single day, counting down to Christmas to keep you grounded, aligned, all the things. I also have my upcoming masterclass, Inner Seasons, which is only $22. And I'm going to be deep diving into all of this even more. And I'm going to also be deep diving even more into how you can honor each phase individually. So we're going to just be understanding every single phase, and you're just going to see where you can start to incorporate that rest in different ways and be more productive, which is super cool. So that's available over on my website. I'll leave the link below for you. So it's the Inner Seasons Masterclass. I would love to have you a part of it. That would be super cool, especially if you're looking for like a little way to dip your toes into my world, but you're just a little bit nervous to start being seen in the menstrual cycle stuff. It's really perfect space for you to begin by just joining this masterclass. So you are invited there. Other than that, thank you so much for being a listener. If you've been here from the start, I fucking adore you. If you haven't, I fucking adore you. I'm just so excited that it's just life. I'm just so excited. And I just want to remind you, if you don't join the Facebook group, well, you should, because this is a really busy time of year and I really want you to stay grounded and aligned. Love you so much. I'll see you in the next episode.